Hey guys, and welcome to another tutorial by Astra Music. We've got a new chill hop tutorial for you today, so like and subscribe if you like what you see. Now without wasting any more time, let's move on straight to the beat. As I do with all my songs, I keep a main piano progression as the base of the song and build everything else around it. I keep the left hand progression as the main and record the right hand melodies separately. Here's the main piano progression that I came up with. I just showed you a few bars, but it's basically the same progression with a couple of note variations to make it less repetitive. The plugin I use to get this sound is the free Keyzone Classic with the Yamaha Grand Piano preset. As for the effects, I use a parametric EQ to cut off the unwanted low frequencies. Next, I layer the piano with the Rhodes piano. The plugin I use is the stock FL plugin Harmer's Rhodes preset. The chord progression is the same as the piano, and it adds a little more thickness to it. For the effects, I cut the unwanted low end, just like I did with the piano progression. Now for the piano melody that I recorded separate from the main progression. The melody consists of two layers. The first is the Spitfire Labs soft piano preset, which is one of the best free pianos. And the second is made from the Keyzone Classic plugin as well. For the effects, I added a multiband compressor for compression, a reverb to make things more spacey, and an EQ to cut out the unnecessary high ends. For the Spitfire Labs plugin, I added a multiband compression to boost the signal, and an EQ to filter out the unwanted highs and lows. Now for the bass. This bass is a sample from the Cymatics Eternity sample pack available for free on Cymatics. I prefer it over plug-in basses because it has an organic and warm sound to it, which I prefer in my lo-fi and chill hop songs. For the effects, I use a multiband compression to boost the bass, EQ to enhance the low end, and a fruity limiter for side chaining. Now let's add some drums. The samples that I've used are from the Cymatics Lo-Fi Toolkit, also available for free on Cymatics. This sample pack is all you need to start making lo-fi beats, because it has everything from drum samples and percussions to melodies and melodic one-shots. I like to layer my snares to make them stand out more. I layer a low filtered snare with with the high unfiltered rim shot to get a unique sounding snare. Then I pan them to opposite sides to make it sound more full. Here's the simple string pattern that I made. The plugin I used is the BBC Symphony Orchestra by Spitfire Audio. This is easily the best free orchestra plugin, and it contains some amazing sounding orchestral elements. So for these two layers, I used the Violin 1 and Violin 2 presets. And then I panned them to opposite sides for a wider effect. Also added a multiband compressor to boost the signal. Now let's move on to the elements of the second half of the song, which are horns, a third piano melody, and some wind instruments. Let's start with the horns. The horns are something that I've started using more in my songs because they give such a grand and warm texture. I used the BBC Symphony Orchestra for this sound with the brass horn preset. For effects, I used a multiband compressor to boost the signal and an EQ to cut the unwanted highs and make it sound more warm. Now for the third and final piano melody, which has an octave change after 8 bars. This is how it goes. As usual, I went with the Keyzone Classic Yamaha Grand preset for this sound. And for the effects, all I added was an EQ to cut the unwanted high frequencies. The last element in the song are the wind instrument layers. The layers I used are the BBC Symphony Orchestra flutes and oboes. As I usually do with the melodies, I panned them to opposite sides to fill in the mix. I also added an EQ to cut the highs. Now let's hear that full beat.